Good morning, everybody. This is Trisha Turpinoff with Listen, Learn, and Leverage. This is where we expose your blind spots and help you grow your entrepreneurial business. And today we have with us the most fabulous Marcia Riner. She is a profit and business strategist, and I'm just excited to have her here. We need more women in that area.
Yes, definitely. It's such an important spot for us to be in because we can see things that others can't. So, way to go.
It's the woman's intuition.
It is. It really is. I mean, gosh, I can't tell you how many times I've seen things that others haven't. And that's actually what a partner should do, right? When you're having a partner in the business, you should be able to see those blind spots. So
I do. Yes, absolutely. Well, and you started in financial planning, right? And now you've moved into the profit. Tell us about that. How did you make that leap and what makes you different?
Well, okay, so I'm still a certified financial planner, and that gave me some foundation for how I morphed my business a few years ago into business consulting. So it's funny, my parents were both business owners, and they ran really profitable businesses, but they had some things that in hindsight, I saw clearly that they could have done better. My mom didn't sell the business when she should have, because she thought she'd have to end. And she left a whole lot of money on the table. And when the business collapsed in 2008, she was in the mortgage industry.
No.
All she ended up with was like a bunch of office equipment, a computer and a copier. And she could have sold it for $1 million if she had had the right mindset and strategy in place to do her business. My dad, on the other side, he had a car business. He, ran it for most of my life, but he lived, what was in his bank account. He really didn't understand his finances enough. And so he made good money, had a wonderful life, but then closed his doors. And so what I find is that my business owners need to think about their business like they're going to sell it sometime in the future, whether they're going to sell it to an employee, sell it to junior, sell it to a competitor. If your business is run in a way that it's saleable, you're going to run a more profitable business, and then it's going to be a retirement for you later on. Because you can sell it. And we're not talking, Amazon and Google type sales, but we're talking, somebody who wants to step into an existing business and take it over, right? Well, willing to pay you $100,000 or $30,000 or $500,000 for your business that you put your blood, sweat, and tears into. So what I did was I developed these ideas that I was using in my own business. I was getting coached. So I was taking the information that I had been learning from my coach and sharing them with my clients. And so they kept asking me for more and more ideas. So eventually I just let go of the business financial planning and went into business coaching and using the planning and the ideas that I've learned and everything to get my clients a really strong business that could be sold sometime in the future.
Wow. That's really exciting. That's just so cool. Because when you think about small business owners, it's like, and I have to be honest, I mean, I have goals, but I don't have an end game at this point. Because I plan on
the day you open, you should have an end game. It's the way you set up your business. It's the way you book your business, the systems you create in your business, and everything. And it's so much better. I mean, it's wonderful that you use your name, and your name can be an incredible brand. But even how you name your business, because you want somebody else to be able to step in and take it over.
Right. Exactly. That's so true. That whole end game in mind. I'm telling you, no one teaches us that. That's why we have to have you.
Oh, thank you. Nobody, the funny thing about it is most of my business owners that I meet out there, they had a zone of genius. You're a fantastic photographer. And so instead of doing photography for somebody else or turning your hobby into a business, you went out and created a business. Now your job was to, go chase clients. But they forget that they're wrapping a business around their genius, and they're not setting all the foundational pieces in place to make that business success.
That's really true.
Yeah, it's sad.
Absolutely.
But it's not the end game, right? No. There's always a chance to change and evolve and morph and make your business better. But sometimes you got to look at the business as an entity and what are the big structures you can do. And if you think about how you're going to sell it in the future, if you sell it, then it gets all those pieces in place for you. So your business is strong. It's like a win-win-win-win.
It totally is. I totally see that. I really like that. Absolutely. And then what do you think are some of the biggest challenges that business owners face?
Yeah, I think that's probably the number one challenge, is that they're not thinking of their business in a bigger business mind. So even though we're a small business owner and, maybe it's just us, maybe I've got a partner or I've got a virtual assistant or I've got a salesperson that works for me. We call that a micro business. If the biggest problem I see is that they're not thinking about the business like a big business. And if they think like a big business, then they're putting the structures, they're putting the people in place, they're putting the systems in place, they're managing their money properly. They're doing all the things like a big business, even though it's a small business. And what that does is it allows your business to grow and scale because you're thinking about it as a real business. And not just a job that you happen to be the owner of.
Sorry, I just got really bright.
Oh, that's okay.
Sorry, I was like, oh.
Hey, good morning.
Woo. Yes, I'm a ghost. But you're right. You're not thinking of it as a job. And it's funny. I don't know. Well, for me, like my next step is to hire photographers and have, we've talked about this before. I want to have a creative co-working space, and I don't want just one. I just want a cool creative co-working space that has that community feel, so that because people love co-working spaces, and it's so nice. Especially if you have let's say, I know a website designer, she's got 9 people in her company and they rent a big table downstairs and a couple offices, and it works out perfect for them.
That shared mindset, we become a silo. Some of my marketing has a guy on an island with just a little bit of water, or a little bit of island with a whole bunch of water on him. We get in and we try and do it all ourselves. And that co-working space is incredible because then you have people to share ideas off of, you get energy, you had a bad call, someone lifts you up, you can go on to the next call. I mean, it's those kind of things. And then it's the support that you have. That website designer can do your website. That small accountant in the corner can do your bookkeeping for you. Never do bookkeeping. I mean, just things that you need. And as an entrepreneur, micro business, you get that siloed feeling. And so I think that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, I think so too. We'll see what happens. There's a few things in place. So I am working on things because I see, just like you said, I see if I just stay me,
you die. If you stay where you are right now, you've stopped. You will not improve. You actually have to be innovating, growing, learning, improving every single day, or somebody's going to come in and run you over and leave you in the dust.
They are. You got to get out ahead of them. Well, yeah, I mean, and that's part of, it's time for a new website for me. Of course, I needed to up level my messaging. So there's somebody else to purchase, and, just all the different, and obviously Platinum's coming up, and we're all gonna, I know, I'm so excited. It's like,
I know, we get to see people again, right? It's so wonderful.
Massive girl time. Yeah. Well, I have to admit, I was in California. I only had a few days of sessions just recently. And, my friend and I we did less work than we should have. But it was just,
you need that.
You do. I mean, it was just so, I hadn't seen her since October. And, I was used to coming to California every month, every other month. It was just like, oh my gosh. And so it's true that, I mean, you want to talk about a big old girl gang in June.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Lots of fun.
It is, but there are so many ways to up level, and you're right. I mean, you've got to get the pillars in place. And I just think what you do is so unique and so special.
Thanks. It is a beast on its own. and it evolved, and I kind of fell into this over my time because I kept seeing the problems that I was facing. And then I'd go to my clients and they'd want to do these, we'll call them advanced strategies. And then we get into their business and I'd see that all these gaps in the foundation. And you can't last. You can try it, you can attempt it, but it will never succeed at the level that you want it to unless you have these foundational pieces in place. And once you do have those, oh my gosh, talk about having an easy business again. Having the business that we all dreamed about, right? We dreamed of being an entrepreneur, most of us, or like me, you never fit into the box and you always kind of thought outside. It's funny, I'm very creative on one side and I'm very analytical on the other side, and then sprinkle ADD all over me. And that's me. And I never, kills me. I'm constantly chasing squirrels. But I never fit into somebody else's community or somebody else's employment, because it's just, I'm such a free spirit. And so what I did is I wrapped a business around my ideas, and then I had to go in and put all the structural pieces in it. And that's the funny part about it. But once we get into being a business owner, we change our life. We think, oh, we're going to have all this freedom, but it's really opposite. You get the luxury to choose which 100 hours you want to work a week, right? You're working 14 hours a day, 6 days a week. You're eating, you're sleeping, you're drinking, you're dreaming about this business that you have. Where's the lifestyle we thought we'd get? Right. Not here, not in the early phases.
Not in the early phases, no.
But if you put these foundational pieces in place, you get your finances in order, you get your organizational structure in order, the who, what, why, where, when, how you're doing your business. You understand the product you're delivering, even if it's a service, and you know who's buying it and why. Then you get your marketing, because if you're not marketing, you're dead. And then you stack all these plans up and you have a growth plan. These are the foundations of a business. And if you think about it like a big business and you put it in there like that, then you're going to have your Saturdays back. Then you're going to stop working at, 5 or 6. And you're not going to, things are going to be in place. So you're not dreaming about it later on at night. It starts giving you that lifestyle you all dreamed about when you decided to take the leap and become a business owner.
Exactly. It's so true, because and there are so many people out there that they don't want to take those steps. And I always say your foundation is like the sexiest part. Like, no,
I don't know about that, but
well, I'm trying to be emphatic about it.
It's necessary. You can't start a business on the 5th floor. You've got to start it on the ground floor and put the pieces in place. And when you have the pieces in place, and this is ideally not necessarily for quote startups, these are businesses that are already, earning 6 figures.
Right.
But they can't get to the next level until they shore up their foundation.
Exactly. There's just, you have to, you've got to shore up that foundation. And because you're right, once all that happened, like once I was able to get an assistant and have them help me get that better, stronger. Oh my gosh, you're right. I mean, things just get so much easier. It's amazing.
And there's only 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? You have to sleep. Right. So once you tap out on your own time, that's when you go get someone to take some pieces off you. Then you have 48 hours in the day now, because you have 2 people doing the job that one was doing.
Exactly.
That's the only way you can scale.
It is. I agree. Well, and what would you say, like, what strategies do you share with your clients? Like, are there any new ones, or have we just tapped on everything?
Oh, I don't know. So I have some structure that I take them through in the beginning of it. And once we get there and we get past that, then we start looking at scaling their business, because that's an important piece of growing and surviving, like we said. So you're not run over by the next guy coming in. And the first thing I do is have them figure out, what is their best time? So, what's their genius? if your hourly rate working with customers is, I don't know, $300 an hour, let's just, whatever that is. If you're doing data entry or organizing your social media, that's not a $300 an hour job. You could probably keep your hour doing the highest pay and hire somebody to do the lower pay. And instead of earning $300 an hour, maybe you paid somebody $20 an hour and they can get it done a whole lot faster than you can. So now you're earning $280 an hour. So one of my biggest strategies is do what only you can do. Only you can do. Farm off the rest at a fraction of the cost of your time. And then you become, you're multiplying yourself. Right. Because you can be in 2 or 3 or 4 places at the same time.
It's so true. I tell you, the things that my assistant has taken off my plate.
And mine's a platter, by the way, a buffet.
Is yours? But it's been wonderful. And every week it seems like I give them something else. Because they're like, well, let's talk about, because I hired a company who they're not just assistants, they are strategic as well. So they have helped with like, here's something you should get into so you can grow your business faster. And, just how we use Asana for all of our tasks. I mean, it's so awesome. I can go in and look at what they're working on at any time.
And that's it. That's the other shift, is to think like a CEO. The CEO is not licking stamps and putting it on the envelope. The CEO is saying, you do that, and you do that. And I'm creating the vision of where I want to go.
Exactly. Totally.
The sooner you start acting like a bigger company, even though you're onesie twosie, or, it's just you and a couple of assistants, you still have to think like that CEO.
It's really true. It is. It really, it's a different mindset that I wish more small business owners could get into, because it's pretty wonderful.
It's a leap of faith. The biggest fear a lot of micro business owners like we're talking about here have is, I can't afford to hire. There's all that stuff with it. There's taxes, employment, what if I can't keep them? Well, that's why the first step is always or easier done with an assistant, right? A virtual assistant. Totally. Then you give them tasks and projects. And if you're stressing that you can't pay them, then you lower their hours, up their hours. There's no commitment to it. But I think that's the best thing to do is get past some of those fears.
That's really true. And I see that a lot. And it always makes me sad, because it's like, it's not about you paying money. It's about you investing. It's the investment that you make in that assistant and what it can do for you to grow your business. Because now you're free to do the growth part.
Exactly. It's leverage of time. So I just had a guest or 2 gentlemen on my podcast that's actually releasing today. And we talked about lean, which is managing the systems and processes in your business, and how time is really the thing that you can control. And that's where you look for the waste. And we as business owners, because we're wearing 8 different hats, right? I'm going to be an accountant this time. I'm going to be marketing. I'm going to be sales. I'm going to be the delivery person and the executioner and the subject matter expert. Right. And if we can just get some of those pieces off our plate, we can again focus on what our genius is and really what we do well in, and then we eliminate the waste of trying to do our own accounting.
Oh no.
And trying to do our own marketing and trying to do our own social media and all these things that we probably would, if I paid the expert to do it, even at an expert rate, they're getting it done in a small fraction amount of time than it would take me to try and figure it out.
Exactly.
And that's the leverage.
It's so true. It is. It's so true. And I hear people are very scared of social media marketing. And I'm like, but we're all online. You've got to get unscared. It's just a super important piece. It's like marketing and sales. Nobody wants to do them, but they're the two ways that, because we all went into this business to serve, but we also did it to make money and make a living.
Yeah.
And so you got to fall in love with marketing and sales.
Yeah, it is a vital part of business, but that doesn't mean you have to do it. You have to have, so part of my process is creating a marketing directive. And that marketing directive helps you understand the clarity of who your ideal client is and where they're hanging out and what is the message you're sharing with them and where, how it's going to be executed. Then you deliver this marketing directive to your marketing team outside, somebody else, paid, virtual, wherever. Then they're going to execute on that strategy because now they have all their answers, they have all their questions answered. And marketing is one of those things that people don't like because it, quote, doesn't work. It's because they haven't done the foundational work to make the marketing work. They just go, I'm going to throw an ad. I'm going to do a Facebook ad. Well, that was a waste of money, because they didn't have the strategy behind it.
No, that happens so often. It's like, that's where people want to run to when they start a business is marketing. It's like, no, you got to get your foundation and your messaging, and then you go to marketing.
Who are you? And it's so funny. There's really the 5 W's and an H, the who, why, where, when, what, and how, and you got to have those who's doing from your side, the business, who's delivering, what are you doing, how are you doing it? Then from the consumer side, why would they want to buy your product?
Right.
How are they going to get that product? What's their problem that you're solving? When are they looking for it? These questions, when they're answered, they're like, oh, well, duh. I mean, rather than just throwing spaghetti on the wall.
Exactly. I know. It's so true. And it feels so good when you see that coming to fruition, and it does work. I mean, I get most of my clients off Facebook, and because my ideal client is someone in eWomen who is on the rise. And that's who I photograph, and that's who I market to. And it's one of those, it's like, I mean, it's very niched.
You have to niche.
You have to.
If you can't serve everybody. And if you are trying to serve everybody, you're serving nobody.
Exactly.
So if you have to have like somebody, right?
Yeah.
That you are going after. And when you can clearly articulate that person into who, what, why, where, how they're feeling, what their problem is, you really describe them, and you have a picture of them on your wall, you know exactly who that person is, and every decision you make is towards that person. That doesn't mean you can't help their friends, or their neighbors, or their associates. And I'm using those terms loosely, but just because you narrow down to a single person niche doesn't mean you can't vary to the right and to the left and on top and on bottom, because you're super clear with attracting them. And someone will come in and go, well, I know you work with eWomen who are on the rise. Would you work with a guy? And you're going to go, yeah,
of course.
That's just my ideal client target. I've gotten their messaging in, and I know what their biggest problem is. That doesn't mean that this guy over here that's coming in doesn't have a similar problem. It's just you've clearly identified who you're going after.
Absolutely. It's pretty cool. I love it. Gosh, Marcia, thank you. I could talk to you like all day long.
It's fun stuff, huh?
Well, I love to talk about foundational stuff. It to me, it's sexy.
It's really, you're an odd bird, but we know that anyways, and love you to death. But it's so funny that people just don't want to do it. You hear them, they're like, So now my magic is actually I'm in the process of trying to do something where I give them what they want and deliver what they need. and give them what they want and deliver what they need. So I'm working on that want a little bit more to make that sexy. And then I'm going to come in with the foundation.
There you go. Well, yeah, because if people knew how easy their business could be by having the foundation set, oh my goodness, it's incredible. And
in hindsight, we look back and we go, God, I wish I didn't do that 10 years ago. Right. I mean, as we age, we look back and we're going, geez, what would you have done? So that's another great question. What would you have done knowing now what you know now? What would you have done then? And the foundational stuff would have made things a whole lot easier.
A whole lot easier.
The foundational stuff, by the way, is called a plan.
Yes.
A business plan.
There's a business plan. Yes. Your SOP.
Yes. I mean, it is a roadmap. It's the directions. It's the recipe for your business. And the sooner you can put that down on paper and have some really clear thoughts, that clarity, and the goals and the pieces that you're going to do, you're going to be able to take action on it. And that action is going to lead to success.
Yeah, so true. Well, and when you were talking about business owners looking back, what really is sad is when you hear of somebody who is newer in business and they've done all the wrong things and spent like 20, 30 grand, and now they don't have any money to go back and work with someone like you. That's rough. Because I've said it to people a lot. I'm like, oh, go work with this person, go work with this person. And they're like, I don't even have the money to go back and do it.
Yeah. So that's the kind of shift that I'm working on, is getting them the money first, so then they can do it. So yeah, that's always a challenge. It is a challenge. Right.
Absolutely.
Interesting stuff coming down the pike.
I know, that is exciting. Well, tell me, I know you have gifts for our listeners.
Yes. So you can find me in a couple of different places. I've got a free download, which are 6 really important tips that will help you not only survive, but thrive in business. And you can pick those up at failproofbiz, that's biz.com. Or you can always go to my website, which is trajectorybiz.com, and that's biz.
I'm putting it all in there.
Cool. Good stuff. I'm on social. You can always find me out there. Hit up Trisha. I'll be in the thread for the Facebook live that will be out there. So answering questions. Hit me up with questions. I'm super giving. I'll answer any questions you've got. I'll direct you. If I can't help you, I'll point you in the place that you can get some help.
That's awesome, Marcia. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Our little profit queen.
I know, right?
That's right.
You gotta make money. Otherwise it's just an expensive hobby.
Exactly. I want to make the money and serve people and help watch people grow. It's so fun to see people. It's so cool to open up LinkedIn and one of my clients' photos pops up and they're talking about their business, and it's just so cool. And so many women are doing it. It's just, it's incredible. We're rocking it. Oh, thank you again, Marcia. I will see you in June, maybe before. We'll be chatting.
All right. Thanks, Trisha.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.